It is a region of beautiful contrasts, unspoilt coastlines, idyllic beaches, majestic hinterlands and lush rolling hills. We are in the area about 170 k's to the north of Brisbane, around the Gympie region, and this is rally heartland for Queensland. Accent Benchtops Rally Queensland is the setting for round one of the 2026 EROAD Australian Rally Championship. We're at the final stage of two big heats of competition here. So stage 15 of 15. This will ultimately help us determine who wins the round. There's been lots of stories that have emerged along the way. We'll bring you up to date on a couple of those and bring you some live stage action here on KO. Good afternoon, everybody. Greg Rust and Chris Stubbs with you here live on the Greendale stage. Some action is going to literally unfold right behind us, Stubbsy. Hopefully we don't get covered in dust. It's a great spot to watch, isn't it?
Well, if earlier today is anything to go by, we will get covered in dust and rocks. We have picked one of the best places possible for you. Welcome to everyone tuning in on KO for the first time this weekend, if that happens to be the case. There is a water causeway not too far away from here. You'll see the vision of that. It is set to be spectacular. Harry Bates, though, so far, he won Heat 1 yesterday. He's been quick again today, but Scott Pedder is chasing him hard, so we've got some action to come.
This weekend is the first time that we're bringing you the EROAD Australian Rally Championship here on KO, so why don't we tell you what you can expect in season 2026. We are literally going to every state in the country. We kick off here in Queensland. Next, we go all the way across the Nullarbor to another iconic location, but a very different surface in Western Australia. We're in sprint mode for the weekend. We have a heat on Saturday. If something goes wrong, you can reset and have another crack on Sunday. 2 chances to score points. But Tasmania and Gippsland are endurance rounds. You must be there at the finish, Stubbsy, to bag those all-important championship points.
That's it. A total of almost 180 kilometres of competitive stages this weekend. 83 of those today. So 7 stages today, as you can see on the right-hand side. We're at the final one. This is a power stage, so bonus points up for grabs for your championship across each of our classes and cups. So that is something to play for. These guys and girls will be going absolutely full throttle today.
The Greendale stage that we're at is a stage fundamentally of 3 parts. Shire Road into the forest after about 4 kilometres. It then pops out onto National Park Road. Talking with Harry Bates this morning, he says this is a really demanding stage. Some high growth on the sides of the road, and that's because we've had rain in recent weeks, coupled with the warm conditions we've got here now in the low 30s. So we've got a lot of grass and growth, and it can be hard to judge the corner exits. You have to have your pace notes right, and the teams then absolutely need to commit to them. Now, that's enough from us kind of summarising what the stage might look like. Why don't we put you in the driver's seat now? Calling the calls, a very respected co-driver in Glenn McNeil, and at the wheel, it's Scott Pedder.
Flat left into right entry, small brow, 200. Right entry and 9 right plus over crest, 30 neat dip, 10 left. And 50, flat left on medium crest and 39 left at the dip entry, short 9 right, over small crump, 50. Straight brow into neat 9 left plus on crest, 50, grid, 100, flat left on the brow, 30, flat right on brow, 200, straight brow at the sign, 50, 10 right over brow, 50, slow right entry on crest, 10, narrow dip entry, might be a little wet, crest, 9 left, opens on the brow, 50, slow short 8 right at the grid, and 30, 3 right entry, 20, turn 2 left plus, turn 2 left plus, 100, long brow, 9 left on the brow at the trees, and 30 tightens in 8 left at the dip, 80.
And that left-hander, as they turned uphill, is just behind us. The spectator point where we are broadcasting to you from. How is the commitment as they approached the water crossing there? The newer generation Skoda Fabia absolutely tapped out, and you'd expect nothing like less than that from Scott Pedder.
Absolutely. Speaking of champions, Lewis Bates, also an Australian Rally champion from 2022. That's who we're looking at now. We have a ballot that decides our starting order. Now, dust has been the talking point of the weekend. You can see how dry it is. Look at the shot there as Lewis comes down through the causeway. He's got officials scrambling because he's fast and he's committed. He won 3 stages yesterday, 2 of them the super special stages on tarmac. Look at him go on the gravel. Beautiful. Showering us in rocks as he heads past and up the hill. He won the power stage yesterday, so he's pushing on again today. That was a beautiful form line.
Excellent, and I think it echoes what he was talking about in Service Park before. So they have softened up the suspension, this combo, for the afternoon. They've been hampered by sweeping the road this morning. So yesterday it was concern about dust because he was 3rd car on the road. He thought he had a bit of spring in his step this morning, that being car 1 might help him get kind of back in the overall game for the weekend, but sweeping has hurt them, right? So he didn't get the benefit of that. Now, knowing that the road has been cleared for the second passes, they have stiffened the settings up suspension-wise on that car. He is chasing points this afternoon, and at the back end of things yesterday, he did that very well, didn't he?
He did that very well, the best of the lot as we went to our Campbell's super special stages. We took rally to the streets of Gympie for the first time. The streets were packed. The atmosphere was just incredible. Now, that's on the ARC socials if you'd like to have a look back at our coverage from last night. The pyrotechnics were on fire, literally. It was just all happening, and Lewis was the fastest of the lot. So, Scotty Pedder, we've seen it from on board and how committed and fast he was. Now, let's see it from the air, courtesy of our drone. So, he won the first of our afternoon stages today. He's right after Harry in terms of times. He was 0.1 of a second behind him in the stage prior to this. So he is right in the mix of it, really putting the foot down this afternoon. Always
Mr. Excitement. Don't let his age on his driver bio worry you. He's still younger than many of us, but he leads an invigorated 2-car. They've expanded to a 2-car Pedder's rally team operation with some additional support from Famous Insurance. Now remember, quite a significant crash at Rally Queensland last time around, and he's, since then prioritised restoring this car, getting it back to its full capability. Let me tell you, he is in the 2026 Championship, boots and all, and he has back, you'll see him hopefully not too far away, a young driver in Jackson Long for the future of the sport. The 18-year-old in a 2nd car for this operation. Really nice commitment and kind of great mentoring in some respects too.
Well, and the vibe within this team is excellent. The way that the elder statesman of Scott is helping Jackson.
You'll hate that.
I think it's working both ways though,
yeah.
isn't it? Because Jackson is keeping Scott young and on his toes and really pushing him in the slightly older car, but really his times from Jackson have been great. And Dean Herridge, of course, a man who's been part of our broadcast in recent years, just really helping Scott and taking some of the pressure off within that team environment so Scott can worry about the real work as his #1 priority.
2014 Australian Rally Champion, Pedder's family deeply embedded in the fabric of rallying in this country. So here he comes on approach. It dips down just beyond us here, little grid. They hook right, and then he'll flow the car around to the left. That's done nicely in front of the crowd here. Short shift, gets the power down on the Skoda on the run up the hill. Good performance from Scott, but I tell you, Lewis, I think, may just have a little bit of an edge based on what we've seen here so far.
It's a tricky little section, this, where we are. It looks so good on camera, but if you get too narrow on the turn behind us, there is quite a significant rut on the inside there that the drivers are well aware of. So you've got a bit of room on the outside of that corner, but if you get too narrow, turn too tight, it can bring you unstuck.
Next of our competitors inbound is Harry Bates. A short time ago, Jacqui Scheiwe caught up with him.
All right, we've done 1 pass this morning. It's a power stage this afternoon. Any changes?
No changes. Potentially a different strategy to yesterday. We might try and look after our tyres a little better on these first 2 just to make sure we've got some tyre life for the power stage, because yesterday we certainly did not. But perfect morning. The goal is just to keep up the rhythm and make sure we stay in the groove. It's been, really nice.
space at the moment. He'll partner up with Sports Racing Technologies, their squad for Rally Portugal. Round 6 of the World Rally Championship, not all that far away from us really on the calendar. He'll be joined there by British co-driver Keaton Williams. He did rally New Zealand, you might remember, back in 2022. He is super excited about getting back to the World Championship and having another crack in a Rally 2 car.
That's it. The same rally that his brother Lewis did a couple of years ago. So the lineage there is fantastic. And our Aussies have been flying the flag, and people that have participated in this championship, Hayden Paddon, of course, back on the WRC stage as well. So in terms of how things are sitting overall for today for Heat 2, it is Harry Bates who has the lead over Scott Pedder by 15.3 seconds. So that was after our stage 14 prior to this. Lewis Bates was 33 seconds back off Harry in third place from Troy Dowel and Josh Redhead. So that's the situation at the moment. Harry coming in with a 15-second lead to the power stage.
Harry partnered, of course, in domestic competition by the ultra-experienced, by the GOAT, Coral Taylor. You'll see from Harry's bio, it's 3 Australian championships, but I guess you could say 4 Australian titles. There was during COVID. We couldn't stage a full championship during that period, but he picked up an all-important cup. He was the driver on that shortened season, and he has, I think the words we used at the beginning of the coverage today, he has been in a groove this weekend, whether he was the lead car yesterday and sweeping the road and showing the way. Today he's been a little, worried about the dust. He said that a couple of times in the interview. The dust perhaps hasn't been as bad as yesterday, but he's maximised again today and done another super job over the water crossing. How's the commitment from Harry Bates? The Yaris approaches us now for Toyota Gazoo Racing, for Bates Motorsport. Through the right-hander. He'll flick it to the left here now. The execution is bang on. We get showered with a couple of rocks as he comes past us and past the fans that line the side of the road there.
Now, a beautiful commitment. That is what you expect from a 3-time EROAD Australian Rally champion. The lines there, absolutely perfect. He is dialed in and flying.
A bright young star of the future, hoping to emulate the kind of success of Harry Bates is Jackson Long. Jackie caught up with him a short time ago.
Jackson, I saw you were busy making some last-minute changes to the pace notes with your dad there. Tell us, what are you changing?
Yeah, just trying to pull a bit of detail out. Obviously, the pace is a bit higher in these cars. And Glastonbury, which is probably my favourite stage of the rally, definitely one of my favourite stages of the year. We had a really good run, but yeah, keeping up on the nose is quite difficult with the amount of detail we had. So we're just trying to pull some of that out, make it a bit more efficient. And yeah, it's looking like it'll work well. So we'll just go out and finish off the rally, to be honest. I'm pretty proud of the morning. I think we showed what we can do, and there's no point really doing that anymore. We just want to get to the finish. So yeah, that's the aim.
With his dad after speaking with Jackie there, just around kind of minimising some of the extra aspects that Damien had worked into the notes. It's not clutter, that's not the right word for it, but just to take a little bit of that out of it, allow him to just digest the key facts. And this is the second pass over some stages that he loves. He's really excited about it.
That's it. The speed differential between when they did those notes in the previous car to this one is quite significant. So everything was just coming at him a little bit fast, just a bit much detail the first time around. So stripped it back and let's see what he can do here. But he did say this has been his best day yet of rallying in his young career. He has had that much fun.
I've talked with some of the team just about what his feedback has been like, what he's been like in terms of the machinery. Now, keep in mind, he did very minimal miles before he contested the opening round of the New South Wales Rally Championship. They ran the car, along with Scott Pedder, on some iconic roads around Mount Panorama, Sunny Corner, the Bathurst Rally in the past month. He brought that car home in an excellent third. But you know what the team told me? It might be a sequential gearbox, right? And we look at that and think, oh, well, how hard can that be? There is a level of mechanical empathy required with the way that you drive that. You need to look after the equipment, and he's done that superbly. So they're very, very impressed with the feedback and the way that he looks after the machine, this young man.
Yeah, when you speak to him, the maturity beyond his years, just in the way he engages with people.
Just getting word through, and you can obviously, by our live coverage here on KO, judge that we have 2-minute gaps between competitors at the moment. We should have been seeing him by now. We are hearing that there may be a differential issue, possibly blown one of the diffs in the car, and that is a real shame for him, because all he wanted to do was just complete what has, so far been an utterly perfect execution of a rally weekend by him at the premiere, all the top level. So that's a huge blow for him. beyond that, just, box ticked.
Absolutely, and works so hard behind the scenes, doesn't he, in terms of the big picture of being a rally driver, this work on the sim at home. He's got the old steering wheel on the sim, he's got the old seat
He's actually got a new setup now.
Yeah, he's upgraded it so that he's actually taking the componentry off the old car to make sure that when he's on the sim it feels as close to the real deal.
He's adamant. Most people that are involved heavily in sim racing, Shane van Gisbergen and Max Verstappen and so on, we tend to think of them in a circuit racing sense, maybe speedway if they dabble in that. Not a lot talk about sim racing in a rally perspective. He's adamant it has helped him and helped him make the transition to this Skoda Fabia. So it's a shame that the weekend has ended in that fashion for Jackson Long, and we look forward to seeing what he can deliver in WA.
We do have our first time through. Lewis Bates has completed stage 15. 8:31.1 is his time. So that's our reference point. We shouldn't be too far away from having a time from Scott Pedder. So we'll keep you up to date. You can follow along at home as well. Subaru Results Hub, rally.com.au. Our next runner, Josh Redhead. Now he is in a great battle. He's leading the Wolf Sports Cup by just 2 seconds from Josh Wiedman for today, for the heat today. So that is an outstanding battle, and he will be pushing to the absolute maximum to try and maintain that lead. And
that is a great point that you're making, that we've just covered some of the outright contenders. There are races within the overall rally, if you wish to, kind of describe it in that fashion. There are cups for our best junior, for those that might be just committed to kind of the East Coast leg of the championship, and Wolf Sport Cup is a highly sought after one, so we've been keeping a close eye on it over the course of the weekend. Josh competing and targeting up to 4 events, just while we chat about that, paired with the very experienced co-driver in Ray Winwood-Smith, who you can see there in our graphic, and the events so far that they have kind of earmarked: Rally Queensland, the Narooma Forest Rally. That is something new on the calendar on the south coast of New South Wales. There are some legendary roads in that part, Stubbsy. Cannot wait for that a little later this year.
Absolutely, and this event has been one of our award-winning events. Twice,
I think, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. The Gympie Regional Council put on a great show. Visit Gympie Region, the tourism board, they get right behind it too. Brisbane Sporting Car Club, all our officials have been outstanding. But here comes Josh Redhead, 1998 Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5 with that 2-second lead. And Scott Pedder has also finished, just to let you know, 0.9 of a second behind Lewis Bates for those extra power stage points. So close at the top.
Car on approach, you know what the maximum commitment is required of the driver in the car at this point. You might have also heard just in the distance our officials, I think, with the WRC spec air horn to let us know that he's coming over the grid. Car to the right. Let's see what the Evo is like through the left-hander. Keeps it absolutely buried. Nicely done.
Fantastic work from Josh and Ray alongside, because this is a busy little section, a lot of notes coming at the driver through here, and the fans have been loving every moment of them. Almost 15,000 registering their attendance for this weekend. Remarkable stuff.
All right, let's have a little look at where we are for this round of the championship. Why we did not stop on the Sunshine Coast, Stubbsy, on the way up, I'll never know.
Do it on the way back.
The hinterland, though, here up around Gympie has so much to offer. Wonderful hospitality, all sorts of eco-tourism in these parts.
Vanilla slices.
Well, Australian famous, the best. And the rail trail, we got to sample a little bit of that when we visited this round of the championship in 2025. So lots of good reasons to stop in. A huge thanks to everybody from the Brisbane Car Club, from Accent Benchtops, who've been around for more than 20 years and are right up and down the coastline from here down as far south, I think, as Port Macquarie. They've been key backers of this round of the championship for some time now.
Yeah, Accent Benchtops have been awesome supporters of rallying in this region. HQ Plantations yesterday in particular down at the Imbil State Forests, providing some fantastic roads and conditions for us to compete, and the Shire Council, Gympie Regional Council today, because we're mostly on the Shire roads. So awesome stuff from everyone involved, and we thank them and the officials for making sure that we can go rallying today.
Now, the next of our competitors, I think, should be Troy Dowel, if everything is running to schedule. If we're able to do so, I think we can probably hear from Troy now. No, he's not. He's done a very good job so far this weekend.
He's leading the East Coast Cup.
Exactly,
So our East Coast Cup, as you referred to earlier, it's a great stepping stone into our full national series where you race here, you race also at Gippsland and at our all-new Narooma. So our 3 East Coast, we put those points together, and that is a great way to make sure you are fighting for some silverware at the end of the season.
He's had some, as we've detailed in our coverage, some reasonable health challenges around a pretty serious battle with leukemia. Went through some pretty intense but a very successful bone marrow transplant back in 2024. We are loving the fact that he is back in the Australian Rally Championship. It probably is fair to say it tested him in season 25. He's taken a step forward again this weekend. He is. He's got some spring in the step. Rallying's been great tonic for him in that recovery, and he's keen to get more ARC rounds under his belt. The car that he's running is the 2020 Toyota GR Yaris AP4 car. It's run and prepped under the Bates Motorsport banner. Through the water splash he comes. Let's have a little look as he approaches all of the fans that have gathered here. They've got their phones out. Some of them have got Formula One merchandise on. Forget about that. This is rallying at its best. Now, he clips just a little with that left front wheel, just a little bit of what would ordinarily be in a circuit racing sense, I guess, like curbing, but it's just the kind of side of the mound or the hill there where the fans had gathered. Didn't seem to slow him up too much.
No, doing a great job in the car that Harry Bates took to the title a couple of years ago, and outstanding effort from him, of course, son of Justin. So it's in the blood, isn't it, Justin, a former champion 2011?
Been a challenging weekend for Tony Sullins. He has battled on, and he caught up with Jacqui just a little while ago.
All right, Tony, how are you feeling heading into this afternoon?
Car's still going really well. It's got no power still, but and the times are showing that. But it's the overheating issue is fixed, and I think the engine's reasonably good. So we'll just push on, just basically get to the finish and do the best we can. So, yeah.
Morning, we were really concerned on the first pass through this stage about whether the engine would last. Yesterday, it was right up there. I think he reported to Jacqui at the end of our super special stage in town there that the temp was up around 117 degrees or something or other, right? But his then concern from that was impact on the engine rather. Would it last the rest of the weekend? Would they have to withdraw to protect it? So that's positive.
Yeah, how much stress did the componentry get put through yesterday? But he's a smart and experienced competitor. So just stepping it back 1 or 2 notches to make sure that he can get through to the finish line. He's got a bigger picture to keep in mind as well, doesn't he, in terms of Wolf Cup, of course, East Coast Cup. So he's making sure that he collects every single point, because as we saw last year, often it'll go down to the very final stage of the season.
A very familiar face when it comes to this sport and our service park area. Multiple New South Wales Rally champion, claimed the 2025 Australian two-wheel drive Rally Championship title. He's paired now his change of co-driver for this season. And Julia Barkley, we welcome her back to the sport. She was with the Les Walkden team many years ago now. Les, I think, as we covered yesterday, did have a conversation of sorts with her and that squad about whether she might come back in 2025, and that must have ignited some thoughts about getting back in the co-driver, getting back in the navigator's seat. And when Tony made that call this year, it didn't take much arm twisting, so fantastic to have her back in the sport. They are running in a Peugeot that's been driven by, over the past 10 years, it's the first real AP4 car in the country when you look at its lineage, Chris, or its history. Mark Pedder has competed in this car. Adrian Coppen, who runs the Australian Rally Championship these days, he's run this car over time. Here's Tony, gets to the water crossing.
It's quite a lift when you come outside over that crest from that water crossing too. A lot of the drivers reporting that. Let's see how he goes. Up the hill and around in front of our spectators here.
Just stabbed the throttle a couple of times there as he's getting it squared, getting it turned through the left-hander. Ideally would love to have just drifted it through there and kept the throttle completely on. Still, not a bad job. And as Chris detailed there before around what he is targeting from a series perspective. All right, we're standing by for the next of our competitors, Josh Wiedman. Let's hear from him now.
Josh, how's the car going?
Yeah, car's going all right. So just obviously after that one, the tyres are pretty shagged, so just changed tyres and yeah, just keep plotting along. We're just trying to get to the end now. At this point, the stages are getting pretty rough now, so we'll just try and finish.
So are the conditions deteriorating out there?
Yeah, it's getting pretty rough out there, like especially now too, with the tyres being pretty gone. You know, even like the downhills and stuff, we're sort of gone real wide and ended up in a ditch in one spot. And yeah, it's just getting to the finish, I think, at this point now. So
Good luck.
Of the MRF control tyres across multiple surfaces here when you think about it, Chris. Obviously the tarmac in town, then we're here in the forest, and a number of the competitors have talked about, particularly for the WRX Challenge competitors, the end of this stage, the final few Ks, if you like. We had reasonable rains in these parts going back in the past month or so. We've had a bit of four-wheel drive activity and natural work that happens in and around the forest and so on. There are a few ruts in places, so it's quite tricky. It is a demanding stage for all sorts of reasons.
A few of the cars also changing their ride heights over the lunch break, just giving themselves a little bit more clearance as a result of a couple of days of rallying and today the impact on the cars. So just making sure that they can play it safe and give themselves a little bit of room.
And you learn a lot between pass number 1 and pass number 2. And where we are, we were at this point for our broadcast in 2025, but it was running in the other direction. They came down the hill, hooked right. This time they're coming flat out across that water, crossing over a grid and then turning left and running uphill. So it's a very different feel for competitors in this regard. So Josh, Queensland-based driver, an emerging young talent, originally from Logan Village in southeast Queensland, began his motorsport competition journey at age 15 in the Motorsport Australia Off-Road Championship before transitioning to this class, to this sport, to rallying back in 2022.
And he's leading today, Heat 2, he's leading the Junior Cup standings. So that's one of the cups that we referred to earlier, Rusty. So you need to be 25 years of age on the 1st of January to be eligible for that. So he's leading that today. A great battle against Riley Walters in his WRX. So he comes around beautiful and aggressive. Look at that. Josh Wiedman, if you don't mind, that's why he's the leading junior of the day. That was pretty fast on approach.
The first part of it, the right-hander, before you then flicked the car to the left, he carried a lot of speed into their Stubbs, and it may have just hampered the then left and the way that it required a kind of 2 bites of the cherry. Now we've got a little bit of a story just around a couple of competitors that have had some issues across the weekend so far. Let's hear, I think, from Darren Crosia now.
Darren, what's the plan for this afternoon? You've already done one pass. What are you hoping to achieve?
Probably just find a bit more grip. The rear of the car is pretty loose, so just lacking confidence.
Any changes to the car?
We raised the car from last night or from yesterday. It was a bit low and a lot of forwards were hitting forwards pretty hard, so did a little bit of damage, and then we've raised the car about 30 mil. So that's made a massive difference this morning.
So for the power stage, when you're going through, describe for the people at home, what is it like sitting in the car going through that stage?
The power stage for us, it was negligible because we'd had a spin on the one before and we're just focused on finishing. So we're probably a little bit far back to be annoying anybody else. So next loop, we're going to have a crack and see how that goes.
He's got the Lightning McQueen number 95 on the roof, and hats off to that crew and literally everyone in Service Park in some ways, because yesterday, if you follow us on our EROAD Australian Rally Championship socials, you'll note they had a fire in that car on the super special stage in town. They'd had some trouble with the handbrake on that car, and then a power steering hose developed a minor split and some power steering fluid escaped, dropped out onto the exhaust, caused a small fire. They needed to discharge the internal fire extinguisher system, what we call the fire bomb, if you will. They put the fire out in addition to some help that we had from our volunteers and the SES who were on site there in town just to make sure everyone was nice and safe. And that meant some work for the team to get that car back into competition. You can do that for the second heat. And that was with a bit of kind of camaraderie. We needed to find some replacement parts and bits and pieces. They've worked hard, that crew. Great to see them back in action on the Sunday.
And that's the good thing about a sprint format, which we are conducting this weekend's rallying under, which you referred to earlier. If you have a bad day on Saturday, forget about it. Today is a new day, racing for a whole new set of points. So he's back out there and pressing on, which is great to see. And as we see the family combination of Darren and Michelle approach us now, quick update on some more times that have come through. We have a new leader for our power stage. Harry Bates has gone to the top of the timesheets, 8:28.2. That's a gap of 2.9 seconds back to his brother Lewis. Scott Pedder, 3.8 seconds back. Troy Dowel, 4th fastest. Josh Redhead, 5th fastest at the time.
This is, a family affair too, because Darren and Michelle Crosia competing together here, and DRC Auto Electrical and 4x4, they're the naming rights sponsor of the 2026 Victorian Rally Championship. That's the Crosia's business. Here they are in the Ford Fiesta. And that is looking like a better Sunday afternoon than they had at the first part of the weekend. Through there nice and tidy.
Great stuff from Darren. And yesterday with that fire of all the places to do it.
Right in front of the fans.
Right in front of the fans. It was in the Campbell's Super Special stage and all the cameras were out front and centre, but there was a little bit of concern, and he was quick to give the thumbs to the crowd and make sure that everyone knew he was A-OK.
This is where you will find Chris Stubbs this weekend, sunning those guns on the coastal beaches. Beautiful. And then in the hinterland here, honestly, there's 50,000 people in the wider Gympie region. They expect that, they forecast that to expand to about 60,000 by early 2030. And we have been welcomed with open arms once again. Some great food, lots of reasons to stop through here. And you know what? It's less than 2 hours drive north from Brisbane. So wonderful spot to come and visit. And we're in autumn. It's low 30s here at the moment. You would think it's, in other parts of the country, you would think it was summertime. Absolutely beautiful. Now, the Subaru WRX Challenge is a real highlight of the Australian Rally Championship, another of the classes that we follow. None other than Toby Price is taking part in it, in addition to Riley Walters, who's had a bit of a challenging weekend so far, hasn't he?
Yeah, not everything's gone according to plan. He lost third gear yesterday, so they had to replace the gearbox overnight. Great job by the team there at Maximum Motorsport, making sure that that could be repaired, and he's been back out and having some fun today and just getting that experience up. He's a great fella and just loving being part of the EROAD Australian Rally Championship.
Use some real smarts too, because, I mean, it's fundamentally kept its road car heritage. I mean, the WRX, iconic, right? Famous. But then Maximum Motorsport have developed a cutting-edge, beautifully designed, very safe roll cage setup and all the key rallying things that you need for competition. But it doesn't deviate too far from what you'd ordinarily get out of the showroom. So he had to drive around that gearbox problem yesterday that you're talking about. You know, second at times when he ideally needed third, and then on other occasions went for fourth, which wasn't but he got it there. He got it to the line, and then
massaged it.
Exactly,
yep.
and his crew of family and friends that have integrated with Maximum, who you were just talking about there a moment ago, they got that gearbox change done in the allotted 2 hours last night. Very good work in Service Park. Now our cameras, as you can see from on high. That looks like Jackson Long, the drone picking up Jackson Long. So the dramas that we had before for him and the heartbreak that we thought, they've obviously been able to, whatever the differential issue is, find a way, Chris, to battle on here. So this is great. We hope it will be a finish for him and for the Pedder squad. Awesome stuff, digging deep when they needed to. Here comes Jackson and Damien Long.
Let's have a listen and see what we can see and tell from these pictures.
Crawling, Chris. Hazard lights on, much lower pace than you'd ordinarily expect. You can see that the rear bar is missing from that car. So maybe a little bit of contact of some point has caused that. He's got a ways to go in this Greendale stage yet. The car sounds all right, albeit slow, as it comes past us here. Fingers crossed they can get that car to the finish line.
So we're about a third of the way through this stage, about the 5 kilometre point of the 15 kilometre stage. So as you said, a little bit of a way to go yet for Jackson Long at just 18 years of age. Very different this stage to last year, not only the reverse direction, but that was round 3 last year in July, and here we are in that heat.
He doesn't talk like an 18-year-old, does he? I mean, it's not, swagger is not the right word, not the right word, but he carries a level of confidence. He wants to be here. He's dreamt of this since he was, pre-teenage years, since he was a little fella. He loves rallying.
It's in the blood,
it's exactly right. I mean, multiple generations of the family have been a part of it, and he's meant to be here. And I think that's just tremendous that he'll get this, hopefully, to the line.
And won our Junior Cup in 2025 last year at his first attempt in the season. So the sky's the limit for him, but a tough day today, and that's part of the learning process as well, how you cop this on the chin and press on.
Chris has detailed there before some of the times for you, not just in an outright sense, but for those that are battling for the cups at the moment. If you go to the Subaru Results Hub, rally.com.au, you can click down and have a look at who's where in the various classes at the moment. So Toby Price leading the WRX Challenge at this point by 18.2 seconds over Walters, who we're waiting for, Riley Walters, who's competing in the Australian Rally Championship as another of our emerging stars. Real determination and focus from this young competitor. And he has, over the weekend, he had some dramas yesterday that you've detailed before, but in the morning, you know what? He really kept Toby Price on his toes.
Loved hearing and having the opportunity and being allowed to listen into a conversation between him and Dean Herridge, of course, who looks after Maximum Motorsports, just giving the advice on where to look at your times compared to you and Toby, which ones to focus on, which ones to just hold on to that time, the strengths in your style as opposed to Toby, and the way they were unpacking how to put together a stage in an afternoon. It was remarkable.
Shout out to a couple of people here as well. Firstly to Blair Reid from Inchcape Australia, Subaru Australia. This series, this class continues to grow and the way that they have backed it. And to Glenn Brinkman, as you can see, Walters just uses a little bit of that hillside on the left. The car getting up, not on two wheels, but just unsettling it. Didn't slow its momentum though, Chris. So nice job. And Glenn Brinkman, no doubt, watching on, looking at how his car's going. You know what? There's great commitment and determination from Riley Walters for this season. Good job there.
We talked about that rut on the inside. If you get a little narrow on the turn behind us, and I think that's an example of what can happen on that apex on the inside there. But doing a great job, Riley, and loving, as I said, the way that him and Dino are combining there.
Next to the cars that should be inbound is Dakar champion, Fink star Toby Price, who in the last 18 months has made the switch to rallying. Let's hear from him now.
Toby, a bit of a frustrating morning for you. What happened out there?
Yeah, a little bit of a tough morning. It was catching a little bit of dust, but yeah, the first stage it all felt really well. The short stage, second stage of the day, there's a bit of tarmac in there, but so the car felt like I was moving pretty slow, but overall result was pretty decent. But the last stage was really tricky. We just had a lot of change of conditions just on the surface, so it was really slippery at the start, then it got a lot of grip, and then we got up into the mountains and it just went back to being like no grip, then back to a real tight little funnel. So yeah, and then the last bit of it we started getting a bit more dust, and yeah, Benny called a left 5 and tightens, and I gave the left 5, and then the tightens bit I couldn't see it from the dust, and yeah, just caught it at the right time, and yeah, I had to squinch the eyes a little bit, but all in all, yeah, the car's here in good shape, and the boys running over it now and ready for the afternoon. Yeah, fun stuff, and then yeah, go from there.
That low-hanging dust is a problem when you're trying to find the kind of markers that you'd use from a braking perspective, an apex perspective, and so on. He's with Ben Searcy this weekend too, so a change of co-driver. And chatting with him this morning, they have opted for a new 1 to 6 corner grading system. In the past, Toby has run a 1 to 10 system, but the 1 to 6 is something very similar to what he's used in off-road competition, and Toby says it's working. It's been a good decision to make that change.
Well, you talk too about the dust when it gets filtered by the sunlight as we're travelling in the direction that the sun is starting to drop in the sky too. That adds just a whole nother element to the mix as well. So Toby at the moment, our lead competitor in the Subaru WRX Challenge, is pressing on here. Great shots from overhead from our drone.
I saw him this morning in deep conversation, I think as we talked about a little earlier today, in conversation with Graham Iddles, another WRX Challenge competitor. I thought they'd be talking about lines and co-driving notes and so on. They were talking about project cars. Both of them have got some really cool builds happening at the moment. Toby, just like a duck to water. It's not brand new to him, but when you think about it, rallying is still relatively new for Toby Price. That was executed for that car superbly.
And these cars, they're quite big as well. They hold a lot of momentum in terms of the braking you've really got to break early, get them stopped. It's a key factor that these guys are having to contend with.
And then get on the power early. That's the reflection of a number of competitors. Now, at this point, if you're following along with the running order, we should be seeing the likes of a Jeff David, Shane and Sylvie Garner, and Wayne Stewart. But all of those, we believe, have retired for the afternoon in Heat 2. And for Wayne Stewart, in the standout, the Volkswagen Beetle, he had an incident this morning on the Super Special stage. Let's hear from him now.
How's the car holding up so far?
Car's okay. The driver ran out of talent and we've broken a rear hub. We sort of hit a concrete barrier with the left-hand side and can't continue, unfortunately, so it's game over for us for Queensland. But we'll be back. We love it. Yeah.
Now, thanks to Jacqui Scheiwe, who's been assisting us in the coverage with those service park interviews. You can catch some of those too on our rally.com.au or EROAD Australian Rally Championship, I should say, social media channels. So that means that the next of our competitors, and we'll probably stay with this, I think, won't we, Stubbsy? Nathan Stokes and Ian Wheeler should be the next car through.
Okay, so at this point, while we're waiting then for Nathan to come through, it's a car you can't miss. Plenty of support for him, being the local Queenslander. Harry Bates, a reminder, he is the fastest so far and will take out our power stage and the 6 bonus points towards his championship for doing so. Second fastest, Lewis Bates. Third, Scott Pedder. In fourth, Troy Dowel. In fifth, Josh Redhead. In sixth is Tony Sullins. And seventh of the people who have completed this stage, Darren Crosia. So that's how we're situated at the moment.
And we will literally bolt from our live broadcast here on KO to the podium. We'll be bringing you across social media lots of the final results of the weekend. But it's been great to be with you here on this final stage of the weekend and showcase a bit of rallying live on KO.
Absolutely, and we must once more give a shout out to everyone who's been involved in putting on what's been an awesome event across the 2 days. We introduced the shakedown as well on Friday, so that was something new. The Campbell's Super Special stage on the streets of Gympie was something new. So there's so much going on in this brand new season of the EROAD Australian Rally Championship that it just keeps getting better and better. So Nathan Stokes on screen. Here we go.
We just like to have fun in the dirt. When we spoke with him about some pre-season bio stuff, that was the response that we got. Co-driver Ian Wheeler. Some good results from Tassie and places like that. Let's watch with interest here as the car approaches us now. Subaru, can't miss the colour scheme on this car.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Just making sure he kept it in the middle and sliding his way around.
Just wonder if it, relative to this morning's pass through this point, Stubbsy, if it wasn't quite as quick. Just listening to the note, the tone of the car. So we'll follow that story for Nathan Stokes there. So that basically wraps up our Australian Rally Championship contingent. But you know what, Stubbsy? We'll be bringing you the podium, and as we said before, all of the wrap-up of the day's action. And then it's the next round in WA in May. Can't wait for that.
Oh, I can't wait for that. So a big congratulations to Harry Bates. He will be the power stage winner here for our Accent Benchtops Rally of Queensland, and he will be the rally winner. So what a great start to the season for our 3-time champion.
He's in a groove and he's headed overseas to contest a WRC round in the not too distant future. What a way to venture off to that with the opening round in his pocket. Been great to bring a bit of rallying your way here live on KO. On behalf of Chris, Jackie and all of our team, it's bye for now.